If you genuinely have extra money left over at the end of the month, keeping your life running on those old autopilot rules is a failure to deploy your capital where it matters most. Upgrade 1 is your sleep setup. If there is one item on this entire list with the single fastest, most measurable return, it is this one, and people usually take it the least seriously. The neuroscientist Matthew Walker has cited driving simulator research showing that, after roughly 19 to 21 hours of being awake, a person's cognitive impairment reaches a level comparable to being legally drunk. Separately, sustained sleep of around 4 to 6 hours a night for just a week produces that same level of impairment. Crucially, subjects running on this chronic short sleep are consistently unable to accurately judge how impaired they actually are. Fixing a mattress that has been sagging for 6 years raises the ceiling on every other category on this list. Your focus at work, your mood, and your ability to make good decisions under pressure are all downstream of your sleep quality. A good mattress can run into the thousands of dollars, but you spend a third of your life in that bed. A $2,000 mattress used nightly for 10 years works out to about 55 cents a night, long before accounting for the downstream savings in healthcare and daily productivity. The exact hierarchy for these upgrades is straightforward. Start with a genuinely supportive mattress suited to how you actually sleep, then a pillow that keeps your neck in a neutral position, blackout curtains, and finally a white noise setup if you live somewhere loud. The damage from skipping these basic tools remains completely invisible day to day. It only becomes obvious in hindsight once you finally experience the difference in your daily functioning. Upgrading your bed is one of the only purchases on the market with a genuine multiplier effect. It raises the ceiling on every other category of your life simultaneously. Upgrade 2 is your healthcare access. The actual cost of delayed healthcare is rarely measured in the price of the visit itself. It is measured in what happens while you are waiting for that visit. Start with the easy check most people skip. Make sure you are fully opted in to any employer-subsidized health coverage. A surprising number of people leave these benefits partially unused out of simple administrative neglect. If you are in a country with a public healthcare system, like the UK, the average wait for a specialist referral through the NHS currently runs around 18 weeks. Private supplemental insurance, layered on top of public coverage rather than replacing it, typically compresses that exact same referral down to days rather than months. The core product you are buying here is time. A minor issue caught and treated in days stays minor. That same issue left to develop for 4.5 months in a queue can easily become a serious, expensive crisis. Sitting on a slower access path means the issue either gets quietly worse or sits in the back of your mind as chronic stress. That stress actively degrades your sleep quality, which in turn degrades your work performance. Prioritizing a health plan with frictionless access to specialists and broader networks is straightforward risk management applied to your physical body, the single asset every other item on this list depends on. When your income allows it, paying to remove medical delay is an essential hedge against your most expensive potential loss. Upgrade 3 covers your retirement and tax-advantaged accounts. First, if you are not contributing enough to capture your full employer match, you are quite literally turning down free money that has already been allocated to you. Second, as your income climbs into higher brackets, you need to watch out for tax cliffs. These are specific income points where the effective rate on the next dollar earned jumps disproportionately. Look at this chart mapping the UK's specific threshold. Once your income crosses £100,000, you begin losing your personal tax-free allowance. For every £2 earned above that line, £1 of your allowance disappears. The practical result is that the effective marginal tax rate across that specific income band is not 40%. It is closer to 60%, because you are taxed on the income itself while simultaneously losing the shelter for your other earnings. The solution involves your pension. Pension contributions reduce your adjusted net income. So someone earning £110,000 who puts an extra £10,000 into their pension brings their assessed income back down to £100,000, entirely restoring that allowance. This exact mechanic is discussed constantly in banking circles, yet it continues to catch first-time high earners completely by surprise. Tax systems everywhere are full of thresholds like this one. It is highly worth a single conversation with an accountant or a few hours of focused research the moment your income approaches one of these bands, rather than discovering a massive bill after the fact. As your income rises, maximizing your tax efficiency requires you to shift away from simple savings habits and move toward active structural strategy. Upgrade 4 is your financial infrastructure. The single most common mistake among people doing everything else right is the execution gap. They understand index funds conceptually, but leave their cash sitting in checking accounts out of pure habit. To be clear, an emergency fund genuinely should stay liquid. We are talking about the money beyond that buffer, the excess dead cash building up for months or years simply because you haven't assigned it a job. Every single month that cash sits idle instead of invested is a month of compound growth permanently lost, not just deferred to next year. This graph illustrates the exact opportunity cost. Say you have $30,000 sitting beyond your emergency fund. At a 7% average annual return, leaving that money uninvested costs roughly $2,100 in foregone growth in just the first year alone. Leave it sitting for 3 years out of simple inertia, and you lose the compounding that would have built on top of each of those prior years. The actual gap becomes a meaningfully larger number than just 3 times the first year's loss. Moving this money into an active growth account requires a one-time administrative action that takes less time than browsing for a movie on a streaming service. People often hesitate because they want liquidity, but funds in a standard brokerage account remain completely accessible. They are just slightly less visible than your daily checking balance. Inert cash is a silent monthly expense. Fixing it is the ultimate low-effort, high-reward upgrade to your baseline financial infrastructure. We have covered the first 4 upgrades. Think of these as your structural defense, protecting your physical body, securing your access to healthcare, and optimizing the core architecture of your money. If you genuinely have extra income, hoarding it at the cost of physical pain or lost market growth is a straightforward mathematical failure.
Upgrade 5, your home environment. Almost everyone watching this has lived some version of this pattern, tolerating things in our own homes that we would immediately reject anywhere else. The flickering light bulb you've ignored for 8 months, the uncomfortable chair, the bedroom that functions perfectly fine but never feels like somewhere you actually want to be. Hedonic adaptation is our capacity to adjust to a negative condition until it stops registering. The broken thing becomes background texture, never making a to-do list. It stays unfixed, even when the money to solve it is completely available. The fixes here rarely require a massive renovation. Warmer, softer lighting replaces harsh overhead fixtures. Plants offer a researched path to measurable reductions in stress and improved mood. For remote work, moving from a cramped laptop screen to a proper monitor changes how sustainable a workday feels. These specific changes target the accumulated backlog of small, tolerated frictions that quietly drain your energy over time. Your home serves as the permanent backdrop to how well you sleep, how effectively you work, and how genuinely you decompress. When that backdrop works against you, it creates a constant, invisible tax on your daily bandwidth. Upgrade 6, your passions and interests. Many high earners reach a stage where the income is solid and the responsible boxes are checked, yet they have no clear answer to what they actually enjoy doing anymore. Work slowly absorbs every hour previously reserved for anything else. Hobbies and outside interests consistently get cut first when life gets busy because they are the easiest things to quietly deprioritize without anyone noticing. Research on leisure engagement shows that people who protect space for purely enjoyable activities report significantly lower levels of depression and stress compared to those who don't. The gap in well-being between those who fund their interests and those who don't is measurable. High earners often fall into a specific trap. By the time you have the disposable income to fund a hobby, you have the least unstructured time to pursue it. The natural tendency is to defer the interest indefinitely, waiting for a future moment where money and time perfectly align. That alignment rarely happens on its own. The fix is to pick a passion and fund it properly now. Treat it as a serious financial line item rather than a reward you'll eventually circle back to. Allocating your money and time toward pure enjoyment is a psychological necessity. It serves your long-term stability rather than acting as a diversion from it. Upgrade 7, reducing your mental load. Unresolved household logistics, the laundry that needs doing, the meal that needs planning, the garden that needs attention,
occupy background cognitive space even when you aren't actively thinking about them. Cognitive load drains working memory independently of a task's duration. Unfinished items live at the back of your mind, competing for bandwidth. Deploying capital toward cleaning or meal delivery removes that friction, strategically reallocating your mental energy. This applies to the people you love as well. Helping a parent manage a difficult task or taking a burden off a partner's plate yields an immediate return for the relationship. You are using money to recover the finite cognitive bandwidth that your career, your family, and your genuine rest are actively competing for. Upgrade 8, your mental and physical fitness. Most people know how to get fit or manage stress. They lack the specific structure required to execute those things consistently, week after week. Paying for a personal trainer or a structured class buys inescapable accountability. This structure ensures the workout happens, even when the willpower you rely on runs out at the end of a demanding day. Once established through external structure, these habits create compounding biological returns, better sleep, more consistent energy, and improved mood that an unused gym membership cannot provide. Mental health support is often the most deferred upgrade because its return feels less immediately tangible than physical purchases. Therapy and coaching reveal the internal drivers behind your habits. Most catastrophic financial mistakes, like panic selling during a dip, overspending to signal status, or total avoidance of tax planning, trace back to these unexamined emotional patterns rather than a lack of technical knowledge. Investing in external accountability is the only reliable mechanism to guarantee compounding returns on your physical and mental health. Upgrade 9, your skills. One of the most direct paths to compounding your income is reinvesting a portion of your discretionary funds back into yourself. This rule of thumb filters your skill investments. If a specific certification or technical training will plausibly pay for itself within 1 to 2 years through higher earnings, the investment is worth pursuing. This includes skills like negotiation, management, and public speaking. These frequently determine whether a raise conversation goes in your favor or whether you are considered for a promotion in rooms where career-defining decisions are made. Identify the single skill gap currently capping your earning potential and direct your spending specifically at closing it, rather than collecting broad, unfocused credentials. Targeted skill upgrades provide the most direct mechanism to force a measurable, permanent jump in your baseline salary. Upgrade 10, your wardrobe. High earners often feel internal guilt about spending meaningfully on their clothing, viewing it as a frivolous distraction from responsible goals like investing or debt repayment. Research on enclothed cognition proves that the specific meaning we associate with what we wear measurably changes how we think and perform. The way you dress influences your cognitive processes and your professional output. Clothing that fits well and reflects your professional identity improves posture and self-assurance. You functionally embody more of it yourself. This investment focuses on items that make you feel like a capable, put-together version of yourself, regardless of designer labels or external trends. Wearing clothes that quietly undermine your confidence out of unexamined habit or guilt is a financial mistake once you can afford better. Many people chase a target bank balance only to arrive feeling strangely empty. They put money into the right accounts, but it never successfully shaped how day-to-day life actually feels. These 10 upgrades represent the primary purpose of building financial stability. You work for money so it can eventually work for the actual quality of your life. Avoid the trap of tackling all 10 simultaneously. That level of change creates the kind of overwhelm that prevents any action from being taken. This framework ranks the upgrades based on 2 factors: daily impact versus the time you've tolerated the problem. Foundational upgrades like your sleep setup and home environment consistently score highest in this top right priority quadrant. They're active every single day, in the background. Pick the single item from this list that hit hardest today, the one where you immediately recognized your own situation, and take one concrete, funded step toward it this week. Start aggressively buying back your quality of life. If this list changed how you view your money, subscribe for more breakdowns. Drop a comment with the upgrade you are funding first, and I'll see you in the next video.